in the sun-kissed lands of southern Portugal lies the Algarve, a region whose storied past whispers secrets of conquest and culture. For centuries, the Algarve has been a crossroads of civilizations, where Moorish splendor and Christian zeal have left an indelible mark. Join me as we unravel the tangled threads of this fascinating history and discover why the Algarve's forgotten tales will forever change the way we see our shared human heritage. In the distant recesses of the Iberian Peninsula, where the Atlantic Ocean's waves caress the shores of southern Portugal, lies the Algarve, a region whose ancient history stretches back to the Paleolithic era. The earliest inhabitants of this sun-blessed land, nomadic hunter-gatherers, roamed the fertile valleys and coastal plains, leaving behind a trail of artifacts that whisper tales of their existence. The discovery of stone tools, such as flint knives and scrapers, in the caves of Lagos and Portimao attest to the presence of these early humans who lived in harmony with the land, exploiting its natural resources to survive. As the ages passed, the Algarve became a prized possession, coveted by various cultures that sought to claim its riches for themselves. The arrival of the Celts in the 8th century BCE marked a significant turning point in the region's history, as these skilled metalworkers and traders brought with them new technologies and ideas that would forever change the fabric of Algarvian society. The Celts established settlements, such as the one at Castro Marim, where archaeological excavations have unearthed evidence of their presence, including intricately crafted pottery and iron tools. The Celts' dominance over the Algarve was short-lived, however, as the Phoenicians, a seafaring people from the eastern Mediterranean, began to establish trade routes along the Portuguese coast. These intrepid merchants and explorers brought with them exotic goods, such as purple dye and precious metals, which they exchanged for the region's abundant resources, including copper, tin, and salt. The Phoenicians' influence can still be seen in the Algarve's place names, such as Portimao, which is derived from the Phoenician word port, meaning harbor or landing place. As the Phoenicians' power waned, the Carthaginians, a rival trading nation from North Africa, began to assert their dominance over the Algarve. Under the leadership of legendary figures like Hannibal and Hamilcar, the Carthaginians established a network of trade routes and settlements that stretched from the Iberian Peninsula to the distant shores of Britain. The Carthaginians' presence in the Algarve is attested to by the discovery of Punic coins, pottery, and other artifacts at sites like Tavira and Silves. As the Carthaginians' influence began to wane, the Romans, with their formidable legions and administrative prowess, set their sights on the Algarve, seeking to expand their empire's reach into the Iberian Peninsula. The Roman conquest of the region, which commenced in the 2nd century BCE, marked a significant turning point in the Algarve's history, as the Romans brought with them their distinctive culture, language, and architectural styles. The town of Ossanoba, now known as Lagos, became an important Roman settlement, with archaeological excavations unearthing remnants of Roman baths, temples, and roads that once connected the region to other parts of the empire. The Romans' presence in the Algarve was marked by significant investments in infrastructure, including the construction of roads, bridges, and aqueducts, which facilitated trade and commerce throughout the region. The Roman governor, Publius Cornelius Scipio, played a crucial role in consolidating Roman power in the Algarve, establishing a network of administrative centers and promoting the cultivation of crops such as wheat, olive trees, and grapes. The production of garum, a fish sauce highly prized by the Romans, also became a significant industry in the region, with factories and warehouses springing up along the coast to supply the empire's vast markets. As the Roman Empire began to decline, the Algarve was exposed to new waves of migration and invasion, including the arrival of Germanic tribes such as the Suevi and the Visigoths. These barbarian groups, who had been displaced from their homelands in Central Europe, brought with them their own distinct cultures and traditions, which would eventually blend with those of the existing Roman and indigenous populations. The Suevi, in particular, established a significant presence in the Algarve, founding the Kingdom of the Suevi, which would endure for several centuries and leave a lasting legacy in the region's language, customs, and place names. The Visigoths, who eventually supplanted the Suevi as the dominant power in the Iberian Peninsula, introduced their own brand of Christianity to the Algarve, which would have a profound impact on the region's spiritual and cultural landscape. The construction of churches and monasteries, such as the monastery of São Pedro de Balsemão near Lagos, attest to the Visigoths' commitment to spreading Christianity throughout the region. As the Visigothic kingdom reached its zenith, the Algarve became an important center of learning and culture, with scholars and clergy from across the empire converging on the region's monasteries and scriptoria to study and translate sacred texts. As the Visigothic kingdom continued to shape the Algarve's cultural and spiritual landscape, the region became a hub for the production and dissemination of illuminated manuscripts, which played a crucial role in the preservation and transmission of classical knowledge during the Middle Ages. The monastery of São Pedro de Balsemão, near Lagos, was renowned for its scriptorium, where monks painstakingly copied and illustrated sacred texts, including the works of St. Augustine and St. Jerome. One notable example of the monastery's output is the Codex Balmesiano, a richly illuminated manuscript of the Gospels, which showcases the Visigothic style of calligraphy and ornamentation. The influence of Visigothic art and architecture can still be seen in the Algarve's many churches and monasteries, such as the Church of São Lourenço in Lagos, which features a distinctive blend of Romanesque and Moorish elements. The church's bell tower, with its intricate stone carvings and ornate capitals, is a testament to the region's rich cultural heritage. As the Visigothic kingdom reached its peak, the Algarve became an important center of trade and commerce, with merchants from across the Mediterranean converging on the region's ports to exchange goods such as textiles, spices, and metals. The Visigoths' control over the Algarve was eventually challenged by the Moors, a Muslim people from North Africa, who had been making incursions into the Iberian Peninsula since the 8th century. In 711 CE, the Moors, led by the Berber general Tariq ibn Ziyad, launched a decisive invasion of the Visigothic kingdom, defeating the Visigothic king, Roderick, at the Battle of Guadalete. The Moors' conquest of the Algarve marked the beginning of a new era in the region's history, as Islamic culture and learning began to shape the region's language, customs, and architecture. Under Moorish rule, the Algarve underwent significant transformations, including the introduction of new agricultural practices, such as irrigation and crop rotation, which enabled the cultivation of crops such as citrus fruits, almonds, and figs. The Moors also introduced their own system of administration, with the region being divided into smaller provinces, or curas, each governed by a local leader, or wali. The city of Silves, with its impressive castle and mosque, became an important center of Moorish power and culture in the Algarve, attracting scholars, poets, and merchants from across the Islamic world. The Moors' presence in the Algarve is still evident in the region's many place names, such as Albufeira, which is derived from the Arabic word Albuyera, meaning castle or fortress. The Moorish legacy can also be seen in the region's traditional crafts, such as pottery and weaving, which continue to reflect the intricate patterns and designs of Islamic art. As the Moors continued to shape the Algarve's cultural and economic landscape, the region became an important center of trade and commerce, with merchants from across the Mediterranean exchanging goods such as textiles, spices, and metals. The Moorish period in the Algarve was marked by significant architectural achievements, including the construction of the Silves Castle, which features a distinctive blend of Islamic and Romanesque elements. The castle's walls, with their intricate stone carvings and ornate arches, are a testament to the Moors' skill as builders and engineers. As the Moors continued to consolidate their power in the Algarve, the region became an important center of learning and culture, with scholars and poets from across the Islamic world converging on the region's madrasas and libraries to study and translate classical texts. One notable example of the Moorish legacy in the Algarve is the town of Tavira, which features a well-preserved Roman bridge, as well as a number of Moorish era buildings, including the Church of São Pedro, which was originally built as a mosque. The church's distinctive minaret, with its intricate stone carvings and ornate capitals, is a testament to the Moors' skill as architects and engineers. The Moorish period in the Algarve was also marked by significant advances in agriculture, including the introduction of new crops such as sugarcane and cotton. The Moors' expertise in irrigation and crop rotation enabled the cultivation of these crops, which became important exports for the region. The Algarve's fertile soil and favorable climate made it an ideal location for the production of these crops, which were highly prized by merchants from across the Mediterranean. As the Moorish period in the Algarve continued to flourish, the region became a major center for the production and trade of goods such as sugar, cotton, and textiles. The Moors' expertise in irrigation and agriculture enabled them to cultivate crops that were highly prized by merchants from across the Mediterranean, including the Italian city-states of Venice and Genoa. The port city of Silves, with its strategic location on the Arade River, became a major hub for trade, attracting merchants and sailors from all over the Islamic world. One of the most significant examples of Moorish architecture in the Algarve is the Silves Castle, which was built in the 11th century and features a distinctive blend of Islamic and Romanesque elements. The castle also houses a museum that showcases the history and culture of the Moors in the Algarve, including exhibits on their architecture, art, and daily life. In the 12th century, the Moors in the Algarve faced challenges from Christian kingdoms to the north, particularly the Kingdom of Portugal, which was established in 1139. The Portuguese kingdom, led by King Afonso Henriques, began to make incursions into Moorish territory, including the Algarve. In 1189, the Portuguese captured the city of Silves, but the Moors were able to retake it in 1191. This back-and-forth struggle between the Christians and Muslims would continue for several centuries, shaping the history and culture of the Algarve. Despite these challenges, the Moors continued to thrive in the Algarve, producing some of the most significant cultural and intellectual achievements of the Islamic world. The region became a major center for the study of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, attracting scholars from all over the Islamic world. One of the most famous scholars to emerge from the Algarve during this period was Ibn al-Baitar, a botanist and physician who wrote extensively on the medicinal properties of plants and was one of the most influential scientists of the Middle Ages. The Moors also made significant contributions to the field of architecture in the Algarve, building some of the most beautiful and impressive buildings in the region. The Mesquita de Tavira, a mosque built in the 13th century, is one of the finest examples of Moorish architecture in the Algarve, featuring intricate stone carvings, ornate arches, and a stunning mihrab. The mosque has been beautifully preserved and is now a museum, offering visitors a glimpse into the rich cultural heritage of the Moors in the Algarve. As the 13th century drew to a close, the Moors in the Algarve continued to face pressure from Christian kingdoms to the north. In 1249, the Portuguese king Afonso III captured the city of Faro, marking a significant turning point in the struggle for control of the region. The Moors were eventually forced to surrender the city of Silves in 1253, and by 1260, the entire Algarve was under Christian control. The transfer of power from Moorish to Christian rule had a profound impact on the culture and society of the Algarve. Many Moors chose to remain in the region, adopting Christianity and becoming known as Moriscos. However, they continued to practice their traditional customs and speak Arabic, leading to tensions with the new Christian rulers. In 1297, the Treaty of Alcanices was signed between Portugal and Castile, recognizing Portuguese control over the Algarve. The treaty marked the beginning of a new era for the region, as the Portuguese set about consolidating their power and establishing a new administrative system. During the 14th century, the Algarve experienced a period of significant economic growth, driven by the expansion of trade with other European countries. The port city of Lagos became an important center for the export of goods such as wine, olive oil, and dried fruits. The city's strategic location on the Atlantic coast also made it a key hub for maritime trade, with merchants from Genoa, Venice, and other Italian cities establishing themselves in the region. In 1415, the Portuguese prince Henry the Navigator, who was born in Porto but had strong connections to the Algarve, launched an expedition to conquer the North African city of Ceuta. The expedition marked the beginning of a new era of exploration and expansion for Portugal, with the Algarve playing a significant role as a base for further expeditions. As the 15th century progressed, the Algarve became an increasingly important center for shipbuilding and navigation. The region's skilled craftsmen and sailors played a key role in the development of the Portuguese maritime empire, which would go on to span the globe. The city of Lagos, in particular, became famous for its shipyards, where vessels were built for exploration, trade, and warfare. In 1460, the Portuguese king, Afonso V, granted the city of Lagos a charter, recognizing its importance as a commercial center and granting its inhabitants a range of privileges and exemptions. The charter marked a significant milestone in the development of the Algarve as the region became increasingly integrated into the wider Portuguese state. As the 15th century drew to a close, the Algarve was on the cusp of a new era of growth and transformation. The discovery of new trade routes and the expansion of maritime commerce were set to bring unprecedented wealth and prosperity to the region. However, the Algarve's history was also marked by challenges and setbacks, including natural disasters, conflicts with neighboring states, and social unrest. In 1495, a devastating earthquake struck the Algarve, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. The disaster had a profound impact on the region, leading to significant changes in the way that buildings were constructed and towns were planned. The earthquake also marked a turning point in the history of the Algarve, as the region began to look outwards towards the wider world, establishing itself as a major player in global trade and commerce. The early 16th century saw the rise of the Portuguese Empire, with the Algarve playing a significant role in the exploration and colonization of new lands. The region's skilled sailors and craftsmen were in high demand as the Portuguese established themselves as a major maritime power. In 1510, the Portuguese king Manuel I granted the city of Sagres, which is located on the southwestern tip of the Algarve, a charter recognizing its importance as a center for navigation and exploration. As the 16th century progressed, the Algarve became an increasingly important center for the production of goods such as salt, dried fruits, and textiles. The region's fertile soil and favorable climate made it an ideal location for agriculture, with crops such as wheat, barley, and olives being grown in abundance. The Algarve's strategic location on the Atlantic coast also made it a key hub for trade, with merchants from all over Europe establishing themselves in the region. As the 16th century drew to a close, the Algarve was a thriving and prosperous region with a rich cultural heritage and a strong sense of identity. However, the region's history was also marked by challenges and setbacks, including conflicts with neighboring states, social unrest, and natural disasters. Despite these challenges, the Algarve continued to grow and develop, establishing itself as a major player in global trade and commerce. In 1755, a devastating earthquake struck the Algarve, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. As the 19th century progressed, the Algarve underwent significant economic and social changes, driven by the expansion of tourism and the growth of new industries such as agriculture and manufacturing. The region's fertile soil and favorable climate made it an ideal location for crops such as citrus fruits, avocados, and almonds, with many farmers establishing themselves in the area. In 1822, the Portuguese government established a new administrative system for the Algarve, recognizing the region's unique cultural and economic identity. The system granted the Algarve a degree of autonomy, allowing local leaders to make decisions about issues such as taxation, education, and infrastructure. As the 20th century progressed, the Algarve continued to grow and develop, establishing itself as a major tourist destination and a center for industry and commerce. The region's beautiful beaches, rich cultural heritage, and friendly people made it an attractive destination for visitors from all over the world. In 1974, Portugal underwent a revolution, with the authoritarian regime being overthrown and a new democratic government established. The revolution had a profound impact on the Algarve, as the region became increasingly integrated into the wider European community. Today, the Algarve is a thriving and prosperous region, with a rich cultural heritage and a strong sense of identity. The region's beautiful beaches, historic towns, and vibrant culture make it an attractive destination for tourists, while its favorable business environment and skilled workforce have made it an attractive location for companies looking to establish themselves in Europe. Despite the many challenges and setbacks that it has faced throughout its history, the Algarve remains a unique and special place, with a strong sense of community and a deep connection to its past. From its ancient roots to its modern-day charm, the Algarve's rich cultural heritage and resilience in the face of adversity have made it a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations. The history of the Algarve is a testament to the power of human perseverance, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a way forward. Thank you for joining me throughout this historical journey. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.